Yeah, Dotun, we're on track. We couldn't stream on YouTube, unfortunately, but we're going to stream on Facebook and then transfer it to YouTube later. So whatever be the case, we're still on the right track. But but the one of Facebook takes 24 hours for you to perfect. We're handing over this session to the moderators, Dr. Usman Omar and Professor Usman Musa. We expect a very good treat. And in such a situation, we share research intelligence all around. Somebody can pick from the area he has done and start looking for areas he has not done, the undone area. And that's why I love research. Research is highly elastic. And then the person will pull it from that. And then before you know it, the research world will be filling up. I introduced Dr. Oladele, a gentleman I met in the late in 2000 and I think 2009 to 2010 at Ogere, where he was the person running the lab and running all the samples. I sat down 15 minutes with him and we gelled. And from there, I went to run my sample and we really gelled. He showed me a lot of slides in colors. He showed me a lot of samples, even the ones in frozen in the freezers that he was preserving. And then the other time we had a program with Usman, he made some statements that he has, from the normal. Because you see, one thing about research is that you learn this thing today, tomorrow is debunked. I know a lot of things in the classroom we got in the classroom. By the time we were studying Gomboro, we were told in virology that it was calicivirus. But today it's not Ebola virus. And a lot of things we learned in the field, in the school, in the school, that when we come out, the research will change it. And that's why we need to have updates. He has done a lot in poultry diseases, Oladele, and now he's from a private laboratory, is now in the academia. He's now in the UNIJOS Veterinary Teaching Hospital, trying to repeat and reenact what he has been doing. I think on this, I hand over to Usman and Musa to call him. Professor Usman, please, you can now, as a moderator, call him to feed us.
Thank you, Dr. Charles, the CEO of Bluebird Television. In fact, I'd like to thank you for this initiative. You have been imparting knowledge and to the younger ones and even to the older ones, you are refreshing us. And this avenue and the commitment and service to veterinary profession, I think, is commendable. Let us not waste time. I would like to also welcome my colleague, Dr. Usman of Betco. Myself and together will co-host this presentation. It is now you are calling my friend, my boy, Dr. Dotun, Oladele. I always know him by Dotun, and I visited his lab many times at Ogere. It is now you are refreshing my memory. I say, this is the person I know very well that you are introducing now. In fact, he's an astute veterinarian, very committed, highly practical, both in the field and in laboratory. Dotun has been in the industry for quite long. One time when I visited his lab at Ogere, in fact, he's everywhere. He's the lab attendant, he's the lab technician, he's the researcher, he's everything at that lab. In fact, I was impressed with him. In fact, at that time when I came back after my report, I met his then Dr. Abato of blessed memory. We met after that. When I came back to my place, I was thinking if we can get such a person by then at MBI bomb, because of his commitment I saw in his lab activities. So, not waste your time. The participant colleagues, let me invite Dr. Oladele Dotun. Is a Ph.D. holder and a fellow of College of Veterinary Surgeons of Nigeria. I'm currently working with Veterinary Teaching Hospital, University of UNIJOS. May I invite, I think the presentation is 1 hour, but we'll give him, Dr. Charles.
Yeah, we'll stretch to 2 hours, don't worry.
Oh,
There's a time for
okay,
contribution.
as the situation warrants, that's good.
Yes,
so please
yes,
feel free, feel free to comment,
yes,
ask questions, contribute, or make correction where necessary in the presentations. May I invite Dr. Oladele Dotun to make his presentation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. I count it a great privilege to be asked to make this presentation. And I want to thank you so much, Professor Charles Ibe, for looking for a small boy like me to say, okay, let us hear your story. How has it been over the years? And I also thank my very good senior brother and friend, Dr. Umar Usman of VETCO. Let me say my journey today, by the grace of God, started with his interest in me when we were in Kano. And I give all glory to God for his mercies. Today, by the grace of God, I will be speaking with us on a very simple topic, and I want us to be very attentive. I call it Gumboro disease, a reminder. My name is Dotun Oladele, as earlier mentioned. So we move on. In my outline, I'll be looking at the introduction, the definition, the characteristics of the IBD virus, or the Gumboro virus, as we call it, the mode of transmission and pathogenesis. We'll look at vaccines and vaccine response. Then we'll look at what the passive surveillance has been for Gumboro disease in the VTH within the last 1 year. And then we'll also look at some factors that could be responsible for IBD outbreaks. We'll look at the prevention and control and examples of cases handled, and then I conclude. So in this presentation, there are a number of things we'll be looking at. Now, you will agree with me that one of the key duties we have as veterinarians is particularly in the area of disease prevention, diagnosis, and control in animals. Any veterinarian who is not involved in this is just wasting his time doing something else. This is our core duty. And today we'll be taking a look at one of the major poultry diseases that have shut down poultry farms. It has made veterinarians to look incompetent and has scared away a lot of would-be investors, because if people hear the word Gumboro disease, if they had plans to start the business, the moment they see how severe it can be, they back out. So these are some of the challenges. Now, the aim of this presentation is basically to remind us of what we have already known and to show us how we can demystify these major threats, which is a problem to the industry. So by definition, what is Gumboro disease? It's also known as infectious bursal disease. It's actually a viral infection, and is acute and highly contagious, which usually affects young chicks, according to what we have learned in textbooks. And then the virus usually targets the lymph. We have the acute mortality as a result of the virus, and then we also have prolonged immunosuppression. It was a disease that was first recognized in 1962 by Cosgrove, and it was referred then to as avian nephrosis because of the extreme kidney damage. Now, outbreaks occurred first in Gomboro district virus belonging to the family Brinaviridae. It is classified into two serotypes. The serotype 1 is really the major problem, and the serotype 2 is known to be non-pathogenic. Now, this virus actually has 5 key proteins associated with it. Now, these proteins are serotype. 91% of the viral proteins consist of the VP2 and VP3. This is very important to know. So what are some of these characteristics of the IBD virus? One thing even in life is that for you to be able to overcome your enemy, so to say, you need to know the weaknesses and the strength of that enemy. Just as it applies in warfare, the same thing applies when it comes to disease control. The IBD virus is a very stable virus, very stable. In fact, even up to, if you keep it at a temperature of 56 degrees Celsius, up to 5 hours, it will still remain very viable. That tells us clearly that even in places like Maiduguri, Kano, Sokoto, that we know that we have high environmental temperature, that temperature is not enough to kill this virus. It can persist for over 4 months in untreated litter. And this is very important for us to know, because there are some farmers who also are into crop farming, and in the bid to get more litter, from other farms, they might end up bringing contaminated litter to their farms and not knowing that such might be harboring the Gumboro virus. So what happens when you expose it to 0.5% formalin for 6 hours? We're told, according to research, that the infectivity of this virus reduces. Also, when you compare the virucidal activity of iodine complex, phenolic derivatives, and quaternary ammonium compounds for 2 minutes at 23 degrees Celsius, it was shown that only iodine complex had an injurious effect on the IBD virus. Virucidal action of chloramine has also been demonstrated. So these are a few facts that we already know. Some workers also inoculated chicken products with IBD virus and cooked them to internal temperature of about 74 degrees Celsius, followed by cooling. With this, viable virus was still recovered. That tells us that we are dealing with a very formidable virus. I mean, a virus the virus, this virus can get into the chicks, through the litter, water, and feed, and by contact with sick birds, especially where you have contaminated materials. It spreads easily. Another thing we're also made to know is that within 4 to 5 hours post-oral infection, the virus is detectable in the gut-associated lymphoid tissues, especially of the cecum and the jejunum. What happens is that from here, it gets to the liver through the portal vein, and then the virus gets disseminated into the tissues, of which after the viremia, you have this problem. And then this will also include the basal follicles, so that within 13 hours, or let me say under 24 hours, all the tissues that the virus has gotten into will be positive. By the 16th hour post-infection, there is a secondary viremia which occurs. And within 72 hours, the farmer will start observing clinical signs. That tells you how fast this virus can bring about clinical signs. Now, from what we know, the virus most likely mostly kills birds, usually within 3 to 6 weeks of age, just as we know
Switch your network, switch your network.
We have seen older birds break. And what happens is that clinics have raw food feeders, huddling. Now, the mortality can spike as some of the clinical signs that will be observed. And the mortality could range between 30 to 90%, especially if there's no intervention, of which this is also dependent on other factors. Now, what are some of the things that we do observe, grossly, especially with the birds? The dead chicken would exhibit various lesions. Hello, are you with me?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. Where was you?
Okay, good.
So you normally have breaks. So
yes, in fact, let's just move on. So one of the major things you will notice is that there'll be nephrosis with different levels of hepatic pallor and inflamed bursal fabricius, which in severe cases may be hemorrhagic, and you also have marked ecchymosis of the breast and thigh muscle. From my little experience over the years, I found out that there are forms of this disease when it shows up, ever before you notice any form of the enlargement of the bursal fabricius. That nephrosis is the first thing that I always look out for. And it tells me a lot, to be able to handle the situation early. Now, as a result of the immunosuppressive effect, there are times that we do observe severe petechial hemorrhages on the proventricular mucosa. So you will see complications with Newcastle disease under certain conditions. Hello?
Yeah,
yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yes, it's like it's hanging.
Yes, but we are getting you.
Yes, let me see if I can give it a little.
Just continue.
Okay. There are pictures I would have loved to show, but let's see. Let's hold on a little. Yeah. Okay. Are we together?
Yes.
Yes, doctor.
Yes.
This picture was from a flock of 15 weeks old birds. If you look closely, there are some blue papers pointing at the cloacal bus or the bursal fabricius. When I encountered this case, I think it was over 10 years ago, it was surprising to me because, normally we expect Gumboro between 3 to 6 weeks and all that. Then I started seeing 11 weeks, 12 weeks, 15 weeks, 17 weeks, 20 weeks. That's the highest I've ever seen. So, but this particular one was in 15-week-old flock, and the lesions were quite classical. You can't miss them. Once you open, you see this kind of thing. And in situations like this, a number of questions come to my mind. That one, what would have led to a delay in the regression of the bursal fabricius as to give room for the virus to invade this organ? These are questions that we need to ask ourselves. There could be internal factors, there could be external factors. I've been thinking over the years that probably maybe there could have been maybe some hormonal influence on the bursal regression, and maybe this would have brought about some delay in the case of some birds. And in the midst of outbreaks, what I have observed is that all those flocks that have outbreaks, especially when they're about 15 weeks and above, between 15 weeks and 20, most of them are usually underweight. They are not up to the standard body weight expected for that particular breed of chicken. So this has been some of my observation. Now, in terms of vaccines and vaccine response, I'll be sharing a few things with us here. Vaccines are made from the serotype 1 of the IBD virus, and it could be an attenuated virus or it could be an inactivated form, of which we call them killed vaccines. We also have the vectorized vaccines, which are also in the market. For example, the use of genetically modified HVT vaccine, which expresses the IBD viral antigens. We also have the immune complex vaccines. These are in the market, but they are usually more expensive than the conventional ones that we are used to. Now, the types of serotype 1 IBD virus used in vaccine production are usually those of low virulence, which could be mild, like the Leuket strain, intermediate, or the intermediate plus, or what some call the hot strain of the IBD vaccine. Now, I want to share with us a particular research. In this, I am not mentioning the brand of the vaccine. I just called it BSB. You can see star BSB. I carried out a field trial after conversation with a farmer. They gave me the opportunity to carry out this trial with that vaccine. And in this particular experiment, I decided to also use this vaccine at 2 doses per bird, in a way to establish its safety, that truly this vaccine is safe. I had done some experiments on fewer birds, and then I wanted to now go out on the field to see whether this thing I had seen in the lab was really true. The farm actually is located somewhere in Ijebu, the Ilese. And the farmer had a flock of about 5,151 birds, of which out of the total number, 51 were broilers. The duration of the experiment was 10 weeks, from day 0 to 10 weeks, which was on the 2nd of October to 11th of December 2014. And there were days that I got this vaccine, which I call BSB vaccine. I got the vaccine administered on day 8 of age, day 18, and day 32. This was after I had run the serum samples and I saw the level of maternally derived antibodies at day old. So I was able to calculate the pattern of decline of the maternally derived antibody to be able to administer the Fox vaccine, the IBD vaccine, and a follow-up. Now, the farmer also used some other vaccines in the course of that experiment. And the mode of administration for the IBD vaccine, which I call the BSB vaccine, was through drinking water. And what did you do? I specifically said that all drinkers should be redrawn. So there was no source of water on the days of vaccination. And the birds were starved of water for about 3 hours. Within that period, they were fed with their cheek smash. So they were eating, and as they were eating and eating, no drop of water available for 3 hours. After that, we now got about 1/4 of the normal volume of water that they were taking daily. And into that, we reconstructed the vaccine and then administered. And they took it. And usually after that, we now place them on multivitamins. So that was the pattern we followed. And the population of birds at the end of the experiment was 5,068, which actually showed that the livability at the age of 10 was 98.38. Now, the graphs, I have made a summary because there were a number of graphs, the ELISA results. This table is just a summary of all that happened in the course of the experiment. First of all, that age, 0.14, was a day old. The geometric mean titer, based on the ELISA, was 832, whether for broilers or for pullets. Samples were taken together as at then. But from week 4, week 6, week 8, and week 10, of which this was the period we had given the vaccines. Like I said, 3 vaccines were given. The GMT values, as at 4th week, was just 206 ELISA units, and the broilers, it was 459. But between the 4th and the 6th week, there was a very high rise in the level of antibody. We had about 3,451 ELISA units at the 6th week for the pullets, while it was almost 3,000 ELISA units for the broilers in the same flock about the 6th week. By the 8th week, it went up for the pullets. By the 10th week, it also went to almost 5,000 ELISA units. Now, for the broilers, by the 8th week, it was 2,700. It started declining. So I wasn't too bothered anyway for the broilers, because normally you expect that latest by the 8th week, you should get them slaughtered. But they were still having a very good GMT, geometric mean titer, showing that most of the birds were still well protected. this is a graph showing what I have just shown you on the table. The blue curve is showing that up to the 10th week, the level of antibodies against the virus, the Gumboro virus, of which this time around, they were giving the vaccine virus. The level of antibodies generated was increasing up to the 10th week. But for the broilers, it has started declining up to the 10th week. Now, using the IDEX ELISA, there's what we call the minimum protective titer, and usually, which is about 2,500 ELISA units. So I decided to take a look over the weeks, what was happening in terms of the level of protection. I found out that usually the most susceptible period, you know, if you look at this table here, where you have titers that were below the 2,500 ELISA units, was usually between the 1st and the 4th week of age. Now, if you look at it post-vaccination, by the 6th week from here, 80% were already covered for the pullets and 71% for the broilers. By the 8th week, 100% were already covered from the samples collected and 62%. So there was a decline in that of the broilers. And by the 10th week, about 93.3% were still having strong titers above the minimum protective antibody titer for Gumboro. So this is the graph showing that after 3 BSB vaccination, which I decided to use at 2 doses per bird, as I mentioned. So based on this, the observations were that there was a faster level of seroconversion and subsequent antibody decay in the broilers. Between weeks 4 and 6 of age, there was a 16-fold increase in the level of the GMT values in the pullets after the 3rd vaccination. In broilers, it was about 6.5-fold increase. So you can see the difference between the two. I also observed that between weeks 4 and 6.
Yeah, there's a break.
Okay, there's a break. Okay, I'll hold on.
No, continue.
You,
we are hearing you. We are hearing you.
We are hearing now. It's okay.
Okay. So between weeks 4 and 6 of age, there was a sharp rise in the percentage of samples with IBD antibody titers at and above 2,500 ELISA units. That is from 0 to 80% in the pullets and from 0 to 71.43% in the broilers. And then between week 6 and 8 of age, the percentage above the 2,500 ELISA unit, which I said is the minimum protective titer based on that of IDEX ELISA, it peaked at 100% and remained at a high level up to the 10th week in the pullets. But in the broilers, it started declining, of which I feel in broilers, because of the higher metabolic rate, you are likely to have a faster level of antibody decay in their own case too. That was at week 10. Now, I'm going to share with you what we observed within the last 1 year at the poultry and
There's a break. There's a break.
There's a break. I guess people are calling him. Okay, continue.
There's a break still.
They may be receiving a call.
Oh dear.
Or people are calling him.
He's a very busy guy. Yeah. Dotun, there's a break.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello. So,
You're audible now.
Dr. Dotun, you have to go back
Hey.
to
Hey.
observations in the last 1 year.
No, this in the last 1 year, this is where I'm to start now.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
There was, somebody was trying to come, these farmers, they are something else. They don't want to know whatever you are doing. Let's move on. Now, in the last 1 year at the VTH, this is just a breakdown of the number of cases. And let me take it from June 2023. In terms of Gumboro outbreak, when we are considering the passive surveillance for this disease, we did not encounter any case of Gumboro in June 2023 out of the 232 cases we received that month. But by July, we noticed that a flock of broilers and 2 flocks of pullets were having outbreaks of Gumboro. So there were 3 flocks out of 223 cases that we received. In August 20... Are we together?
Yeah, we are together.
Please
In
go on.
August,
Please,
in August
I
20,
please hold on, Dr. Dotun. Please, if you are not the speaker, please kindly switch off your
No, don't worry. I'm dealing with it. No, I've dealt with it. Continue.
okay. In August 2023, there were 2 cases out of 149 cases received. And these 2 cases, one was from a flock of pullets, another from broilers. And you can see their ages are shown on the table, 9 weeks and then 2.5 weeks for the broilers. And if you look at it on and on and on, in October, there was no case of Gumboro outbreak out of 176 cases. And it goes on like that. Now, in January 2024, we had 2 cases, only broilers, out of 189 cases. Then by February 2024, we had 11 cases. Out of these 11 cases, it's of interest to us, if you can see, one of them was a 16-week-old flock of pullets, which tells us that a number of things are happening, especially when it comes to do with this particular disease called the Gumboro disease. Out of the 197 cases, only 11 were associated with the Gumboro outbreak. By March, we had 267 cases, out of which 7 were associated with Gumboro outbreak. And then by April, 2 cases out of 258 were associated with Gumboro disease. Last month, out of 278 cases, 8 were Gumboro disease cases. Now, in total, within the last 1 year, we had 2,495 cases received in the poultry and fish clinic, of which 44 were basically Gumboro disease outbreaks, which was about 1.76%. Now, we also observed that in these outbreaks, there were more pullets having outbreaks than broilers. For example, 19 out of the 44, which was 43%, were broilers, and then 25 out of the 44 had to do with outbreaks from pullets. Now, what are some of the factors that may be responsible for IBD outbreaks? Number one is what we know as biosecurity, poor biosecurity. Poor biosecurity affects so many areas. I won't be able to go into details on that, but one thing that I need to emphasize here is that as much as possible, any person who wants to stock birds, especially in a place where there has been an initial outbreak of Gumboro disease, must ensure there is thorough washing and disinfection. And your choice of disinfectant is also very important. If you use disinfectants that will not be able to deal with the virus, which we know is a very hardy virus, you will only be wasting your time. The second factor is what we call poor vaccine quality. One, if there's a problem with the attenuation, I remember a few weeks ago, there was a particular farmer that came around, and when I started asking questions, I found out that they used a particular brand of vaccine, which from 2017, I had known that the major problem with that vaccine had been poor attenuation. So it resulted in very serious outbreak, but we were able to manage it. Poor vaccine quality with respect to attenuation and cold chain issues too. Because if the cold chain is not well maintained, that is also a very serious problem. Then if you have a problem where there is poor vaccine reconstitution and administration, I found out that some farmers, they will just go to some place and say, they want to buy such and such vaccine. And what will happen is that some people will mix the vaccine for them and they will put it in this kind of container, like this swan water bottle. And they will happily collect the vaccine and go. And when they come to us, when outbreaks occur, and we ask questions, which vaccine did you give? They say, they gave them in one, they mix it, put in one water, this thing, and that they ask them for week 1 or week 2 vaccine. Okay, which one is week 1? Which one is week 2? The farmer will not know which vaccine was given. So a lot of confusion comes up as a result of this kind of method. Now, wrong timing of vaccine administration is also very, very important to know this. We have seen situations where the level of maternally-derived antibodies could be very high, and where a farmer, unknowingly just gives the vaccine and say, that I need to give it very, very early. The farmer will end up getting all the maternally-derived antibodies cleared off as a result of that. And the vaccine itself will not be able to take effect. It won't be able to establish itself in the bursa of Fabricius. This is very important to know. So that timing is very important. And these are some of the things that can contribute to IBD outbreaks. Now, I was talking about timely and proper execution of vaccination or giving the vaccine, especially if you want to prevent the problem. You consider some of the epidemiologic situation and the level of maternally-derived antibodies. Usually, we have a way of calculating to know how the antibody level, maternally-derived antibody level declines, and then you'll be able to now advise the farmer on when to administer the vaccine. Also, the situation in the environment matters. Even if you have done your laboratory analysis and you have predicted when the level of maternally-derived antibody will be low enough for your vaccine virus to establish itself, the epidemiological situation matters a lot, especially the issue of biosecurity. This is where, like I mentioned, a lot of farmers fail, and this must be taken into consideration. Then there's need for routine disinfection, as part of the things that must be done. Aerial spray, using of food dips, and water sanitation in pens were well disinfected before placement of chicks. It is important to say here that water sanitizers must never be used in drinking water meant for administering vaccines to birds. This is one of the errors we have also found out amongst farmers. Now, still on the prevention and control, what do we do? In the midst of outbreaks, especially with early detection during post-mortem examination, prompt use of chemicals with systemic antiviral actions like iodine-containing preparations like polydine or 5-iodine. We often administer this at 1 ml per 2 liters of drinking water, or those containing potassium monopersulfate or potassium peroxymonosulfate. Examples are Vioxx, Virusuper, Vacon S. In fact, in my own current opinion, this second class of disinfectants, which we have a way of using as systemic antiviral preparation, are very, very powerful. They could be given to birds through drinking water at 1 gram per liter in combination with antibiotics, usually based on the susceptibility results. Now, this, from my little experience, can help to alter the normal explosive pattern of IBD outbreaks. Now, I was talking about in combination with antibiotic. From experience, we have found that when samples are harvested from chickens that came down with Gumboro disease, if you are streaking organ by organ on agar, especially maybe on let's say nutrient agar or McConkey agar, you will often find out that you have very low bacterial load in most of the organs, except the bursa of Fabricius, that we have a very high load of bacteria. So once this is encountered, I usually lance the bursa, take a swab of the bursa, make a direct sensitivity, let's say on either nutrient agar or Moeller-Hinton agar with the disc placed, so that within 6 hours, I will start seeing the zone of inhibition around which antibiotic I can quickly tell the farmer to add to whatever, maybe Vioxx or polydine or whichever I had already mentioned. Now, this slide that you are seeing is a case of outbreak of Gumboro disease in 17-week-old pullets. You can see the marked ecchymosis on the thigh muscle here. Now, when I saw this, fortunately, I had this kit with me, so I quickly picked it up and then got some homogenate from the bursa, affected bursa, and then dropped it on this kit. And within a few minutes, it showed a second band, which shows that the sample was positive. So I said, okay, if this thing is showing positive on this IBD kit. Let me further confirm it. I picked another a sample from the kit, and I decided to make a solution of the Gumboro vaccine. I just picked a Gumboro vaccine. Let me be sure that what I am dealing with is a Gumboro virus. So I now did it, and it also showed that double, bar, confirming to me that what I got from the Bossa of Fabricius of the 17-week-old birds was actually a Gumboro virus, a field Gumboro virus. And with this, it dawned on me that what we are used to in terms of 3 weeks to 6 weeks will not always stand as it used to be. Now, there is another case which happened very recently, just last month, and honestly, it was an interesting case to me. The woman gave us the history. She had about 2,500 birds. They were 5 weeks old, pullets, and while carrying out the postmortem examination, I noticed marked nephrosis, then ecchymosis of the thigh muscle. But there was no swelling at that time of the bursa of Fabricius. It dawned on me that if this set of birds were left for 2 more days before coming, something else would have happened. So I quickly asked the woman, "Madam, are your birds still able to take water?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, quickly start them on this VOX, 1 gram per liter." And then the following day, I sent the sensory result to her. The isolate from the bursa and some other organs was sensitive to fluorophenical, which she combined with the VOX. I told her to start that previous day, the very day I did the postmortem examination. Within that period of treatment, she gave me a feedback. The total mortality was just 38 birds, 1.52%. This is the best case I think I've ever handled in terms of managing Gumboro outbreaks. Early detection is very important. Early detection. Like I said, we had not started seeing the swelling of the bursa, or rather the enlargement of the bursa of Fabricius, but the ecchymosis on the thigh muscle and the nephrosis were what gave me an insight into what was already happening. The peak mortality within the period of that treatment was just 18 in one of the days, and then it started declining and made a total of 38 out of 2,500. Now, are we together?
Yes, we are together. I was here.
This third case happened sometime in 2012. One Sunday, I was in the lab, and somebody came to me and complained that they were having some serious mortalities and that I needed to visit the farm. So the following day, I got to the place, and a population of about 100,000 pullets. The age range was between 3 and 10 weeks, and the mortality was crazy. They were really dying. And I found myself in a very tight situation because as at that time, some of the common chemicals that I was used to, like polydine, chloramine T, and all those ones, they were not available at all. In fact, they were not in circulation nationwide. So I was now thinking, how do I help this farmer? I now remembered I encountered a case somewhere in Delta State when I went on official assignment in the laboratory, and somebody brought an apparently... Hello?
Yeah, continue.
Yes. And I remember that somebody brought a young cock to me, that it was among some birds and that he wanted me to examine it and all that. I said, okay. So I euthanized the bird. But what shocked me was that I noticed that that bird had a very large bursa of Fabricius. And I had to call the farmer and say, come, do you know what I observed in the cock you brought? This cock is actually sick. I think it was about 16, 17 weeks. He said, yes, that they were sick, but what he has been doing is that he has been using a high concentration of isoclor. I said, yeah. So it was that experience I had a few months earlier. I decided to apply on this farm because the common chemicals I was used to in managing Gumboro outbreak were not available nationwide. So I now decided to increase the concentration of this product called isoclor, which is sodium dichloroisocyanurate. And normally it's the water sanitizer we use at 1 tablet to 1,000 liters. but I now increased the concentration, 1 tablet to 250 liters, and then I now use a higher concentration for spraying. I told all the workers on the farm, because when the owner of the farm told me, she said that, look, she's so concerned. And I told her, I said, madam, don't worry, we'll try our best that with all we are able to do, we hope the mortality will not exceed 10% of this flock of 100,000. She said she hopes so. She now said all her boys should listen to whatever I tell them. And they said, okay, they will follow. Thank God these guys cooperated with me. And we were able to use this method. And in their own case, it was also complicated by Newcastle disease, because I remember I said that this Gumboro disease is immunosuppressive. So you will start seeing some particular hemorrhages on the proventricular mucosa in some cases like that. Eventually, we were able to manage this condition, and the total mortality was just 11.5%. You know that to me, or to us as vets, this is a good way of bringing it under control, in the sense that if we are to follow what some people say, that allow the disease to run its natural course, this kind of flock, they would have lost nothing less than 75,000 birds. So you can see ecchymosis on the thigh muscle. This case 4, it occurred somewhere in southwest Nigeria. And it was a parent stock farm with history of explosive outbreak of the Gumboro disease in the last 2 sets of parent stock chicks that were hatched. What happened was that the owner of this farm was importing some hatchable eggs to stock his parent stock farm, I think maybe from somewhere in Europe. Now, those hatchable eggs were brought in, and he had his hatchery, so he set them in the machines. And when they hatched, he placed them on the floor. And from the history they gave me, that on their own farm, they give Gumboro vaccine only once when birds are about 21 days of age. That was their own information. Now, the first 2 sets were virtually wiped off. And you know how expensive parent stock can be, especially for a farmer who is depending on bank loan to run his business. We investigated, and we now found out that the newly hatched 3rd batch, when blood samples were taken, and we ran the test by ELISA, they had no detectable IBD maternally derived antibodies. What this meant was that the grandparent stock where he bought, the farm of the grandparent stock where he bought these hatchable eggs from, most likely were not giving any IBD inactivated vaccine. So under this condition, when we saw that everything was in titer group 0, we had to administer live IBD vaccine by day 3 of age to ensure early bursal colonization. This was what stopped the outbreaks. Why? If the vaccine virus does not colonize the bursal of Fabricius before your field virus, you are wasting your time. That's what it implies. And from the history, they were waiting till 21 days before giving any vaccine. So it was a big, big problem. It was the ELISA that helped us to know where the problem came from, and we dealt with it head on. Now, this 5th case was also from a particular hatchery, but for some reasons, I can't present the graph because it carries the name of the hatchery, and I don't want anybody to come and arrest me. Now, what happened here was that this particular hatchery, somebody came to them and told them that, look, stop using the conventional Marek vaccine that you use. We have a special Marek vaccine that is vectorized. As you are vaccinating against Marek, it also vaccinates against the Gumboro disease. So day 1 at the hatchery, they gave this vectorized HVT vaccine, which also, according to the claim of the manufacturers, will also protect against Gumboro. Now, this was done at day old. Being that the owner of the farm was a client to us, I was concerned. So almost every 2 weeks, I was carrying out a seromonitoring. And to my shock, up to the 10th week of age, there was no seroconversion. Nothing to show that birds had received anything that had IBD antigen. And I used IDEX ELISA kits to do this. The client was warned, but he only listened to the voice of the salesperson. By the 11th week of age, there was explosion. Later on, these birds also came down with Marek's disease. So which actually, points to the fact that there was a major problem probably in the process of manufacturing this vaccine. Because if it could not protect against the Marek's and it could not protect against the Gumboro vaccine, it means what was sold to that man was just useless. Case 6. Now, this particular case was brought to us sometime in 2021, and the birds were 3 weeks old, and there were about 4,000 from the history. As at the time the farmer visited us, mortality had risen to 842 cumulatively in the flock. The client also reviewed that they gave Lasota and Gumboro vaccine combined at 2 weeks of age, and it was injected intramuscularly by his consultant. That was the information he gave us. So by the time he came to us, the 3rd week, there was explosion everywhere. The gross lesions, we noticed enlarged and edematous bursa fabriceus, slightly congested lungs. There was ecchymosis on the thigh and breast muscle. Nasal discharge was observed, pale spleen, slightly pale liver, and the kidney was also pale. The ELISA, this is a graph of the blood samples or serum samples we analyzed in the midst of the outbreak. Now, from what I'm having here, the birds had some level of IBD antibodies ranging from 0 to 1,533 ELISA units, which were not sufficient to offer them protection. The minimum protective titer by Profloc ELISA is from 3,000 ELISA units. So it showed that serologically, they were not even covered in any way. I now took samples to NVRI, the Avian Influenza Laboratory, where they did the RT-PCR analysis, and we were able to find out that the sample was positive, and the band, of 743 base pair for the VP2 gene was observed. Now, this confirmed that what we're dealing with was a Gumboro disease outbreak. As you can see from the gel picture here, this is the DNA lab. Yes, RT-PCR, and this is confirming it, 743 base pairs, that what we are dealing with was a Gumboro virus. We did not stop there. We were interested in seeing what could have happened because they claimed they gave Lasota and whatever. The titer of the antibodies against Newcastle disease was also investigated, and we found out that the birds were not protected. As you can see, I think I worked on over 30 samples, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, about 30. This is 20 plus 12, that's 32 plus 2, about 34 samples were analyzed. And 12 out of the 34 samples had no detectable ND antibody. And then the remaining ones were still all under 1 in 16. The titer of 1 in 16 is the minimum protected titer against the lethal effects of the ND virus. So the immunosuppressive effect of the Gumboro virus would have probably led to what we are seeing here serologically for the ND. It was a very tough case to handle because the client had been managing the outbreak for about 4 days before it was brought to us at the VTH. Eventually, it lost about 65% of the flock. In conclusion, I would want to say that it's important for us to know that managing disease, Gumboro disease outbreak can be very, very tough. Keys to successful management of outbreak are hinged on early diagnosis and the ability of the birds to still drink water and use of right medication. We need to be open to learning every day as veterinarians. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Dotun. Very in-depth presentation. In fact, it's very enlightening experience and other things you have shown to us. But before we move on, maybe Dr. Usman, please get prepared so that we make a summary of what he has presented. But before then, let me welcome Professor Oladele from UI. She has been with us for quite long. Ma, you are welcome. And we have also Director of Veterinary Teaching Hostel here at Usman Dampodo Sokoto. I don't remember, although just at this point, I think maybe sometime he's no longer there, but he has been with us for quite long. We also have Director Animal Health, Ministry of Agriculture, Kebbi State, and many other eminent things. And I think it's a good response, and the people have joined. So far, I think we have more than 32, although some have been joining and rejoining. So, Prof, if you can hear me, you are welcome, and we wait for your contribution, Professor Omolade. Can you hear me, ma?
Because we need a lot of experiences here to be shared.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Ma, you are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. So, Dr. Usman, please, can you quickly summarize what he has presented to us so that we can open a floor for questions? I think starting from I think he told us about the history. Usman, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Prof.
Yes. Are you ready, or I can go ahead?
And I will attempt a summary.
Okay.
I will
Yes.
say attempt. I will say
No.
attempt because it will be practically impossible to.
Yeah.
And in fact, I just sent a text to somebody that if you are not on this forum, you have missed tremendously, because I didn't expect anything less from my bro, Dr. Dotun. I didn't expect anything less. Because from anybody who is listening, you can see this is pure hands-on experience supported by science. So Dr. Dotun started from the origins of Gomboro in the 60s, and while it was thought to be a nephrotic disease in the first place, and over time, from what it has become, and we know very well, as a scourge in poultry, especially at the brooding stage. He has shared many field experiences with us, and has enumerated some of the challenges that trigger Gomboro outbreaks, including biosecurity, which he said he didn't have time to emphasize because there are many wrongs of biosecurity. He talked about vaccine quality and storage. He also made reference to early detection, and also made reference to the hardiness of the virus, and advised, specifically made advice on bringing a litter from other farms to your farm for crop purposes. Dr. Dotun proceeded to share case studies of Gomboro outbreaks and approaches that were adopted in managing them. Like I said, I can only attempt a summary. I didn't expect anything less. Thank you very much, Dr. Dotun, as you await your professorship.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Usman. Dotun, also, you have mentioned so many things actually, and very interesting. And had we been able led me to, the in-depth that we are the one going to present, I'll have sharing all the platforms of MBMA here in Northwest. We'll have gotten wider coverage.
You're not late. Actually, we wanted to stream on YouTube. It was giving us internal server error. So we moved to Facebook. We're going to pick it from Facebook again and move it to YouTube. So what will happen is that we will
it has been recorded. Yes.
Yes,
That's
Yeah.
been
it's
recorded.
recorded.
Actually,
And
we
then,
said, I'm sure many young veterinarians and even
so,
older
and then
veterinarians.
if we're in the YouTube channel, please advise them to be subscribing to our channel. It gives us
No.
impetus and gives us algorithm to further, the views of our video and then make it viral
Yes.
to
Thank
the
you.
elastic world. Thank you very much. But
Thank
be it
you.
as a man, I even have a lot of questions for Dotun.
Do we
There
start
are
with
questions.
do we start with Chief? Oh,
No,
We'll come to.
we'll come to Chief, but you have to summarize. So from there we'll be able to get into
yeah.
the
So
real
Suma
thing.
has summarized for us, and I
Okay,
don't
yeah,
think that he
summarize
has
for you.
summarized everything for us.
Yeah,
And
a lady here, Jennifer Baye, is asking, how do you know the disc to use in terms of antibacterial disc? Dotun?
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I just go straight? I thought I would take all the questions and
No,
start answering.
one by one
no,
before
no,
we
it's not
miss the
possible
track.
to
Okay.
take all the questions.
Now,
We take
that
questions
question of knowing what disc to use. First of all, know that the Gumboro disease is a viral disease. The issue of running antibiotic sensitivity test is to deal with the secondary bacterial infection, on of which when you get the organism isolated from various organs, and from my experience, like I said, the highest growth of the bacteria usually is from the bursa of Fabricius. So I target the bursa of Fabricius and swab from the inner portion of that organ would be applied on the surface of sterile nutrient agar or Mueller-Hinton agar. And we use the direct sensitivity method, of which we can place like, let's say 8 to 9 discs of antibiotic. You can have an array of antibiotics like gentamicin, enrofloxacin, amoxicillin, and the rest, and placed on that. So it's not a particular antibiotic that just one that we're going to use. So we'll only be able to make our choice of antibiotic when we notice the diameter of the zone of inhibition. And then we now say, okay, based on what we are seeing, add this to whatever we have told you and administer to the birds. So yeah. I think that's what
the same Jennifer Baye is asking, what schedule do you recommend for IBD vaccination? What vaccination schedule do you recommend? I know it's a very tricky one. But
yeah, it's a tricky question, but I have a way of answering that. Now, you realize that in the course of my presentation, there was a situation where there was severe outbreaks in parent stock farm. That outbreak in the parent stock chicks was because there was no protective IBD maternally derived antibodies. Now, what this actually means is that if you are to tell that farmer, and the farmer was giving his own vaccination at the 3rd week, which means that there was about 20 days enough for the field virus to gain entry and colonize the bursa. So when it comes to the issue of vaccination program, what I usually advise is, 1, your biosecurity must be very strong first. Very, very strong, and ensure that you don't have a situation where maybe farms very close to where you are having series of outbreaks of Gumboro disease. If they've been having such, it would be best for you to first of all know the level of maternally derived antibodies. Then we can work out the pattern of, based on the pattern of decay, we can work out when they can take their first Gumboro vaccine and the subsequent ones. However, where you don't have access to any ELISA reader or ELISA kits and all that, your biosecurity must be very strong. Then, from what I have seen, especially in birds that are well vaccinated, the parent stock well vaccinated, and the chicks having adequate level of antibody, IBD antibody, from my observation and from some research work that a friend had done before, we observed that about the 10th day of age of the chicks, there would have been a decay of about 80% of the maternally derived antibody. So it means anytime from day 10 to day 12 of age, you would have had a sufficiently low level such that if you are introducing your vaccine virus there'll be minimal neutralization. At
Yeah.
that time, it could be safe to administer your first vaccine. But like I said earlier, your biosecurity must be strong. Because if the biosecurity is very poor, the feed virus gaining entry before your vaccine virus can spell doom.
Yeah.
So I think that
I think I should help you a bit in this because
Okay.
I did a lot, which you know, on this disease. Number one, there's no standardization among all the parent stock farms.
Yes.
So you don't have a uniform antibody, maternal-derived antibody.
Yes.
Number two, some of them do
Sorry,
not.
sorry, Charles. What do you mean by uniform? Because the
No, what I mean by uniform is that before they start production and before you start hatching, they're supposed to vaccinate the dam, that's the female, so that they'll transfer maternal antibody. That's maternal antibody. If that one is not done, I have seen a farm that use live, from what Dotun, the research Dotun helped me to run, where I asked some questions. Do you use an inactivated Gomboro vaccine at what stage? In fact, some of them don't use. Some of them even use live vaccine, live Gomboro vaccine at 18th week for the parent stock. So if there is a rule, a policy, this is what you use at this, and it comes across, it comes from government level as statutory. We don't have it. So what those parent stock farms is that they do what they like. And another thing is that they don't give information. They don't give information to the commercial bed farmer, layer farmers. So because of that, there's a lot of tricky issues. like the ones I ran, you see their, which Dr. helped me to run. You see so even within the chick box, they collect from different batches and hatch them together. Within the same chick box of 50 or 52, you see spike here, low here, spike here, low here. Within the same batch of hatch beds. So in that case, this is number one. And then number two, sometimes when these beds gets to, you don't run. There's a bursar refill as the beds are, as you get them from day old. There's, I think, from 3 or 4 days along the line, from the Dr. What do you call it? They'll be refilling. They'll be refilling of antibodies from the yolk sac. Thank you. There is from the yolk sac. There will be a refill. That means as it's decaying, it's refilling from, I think it's from 3.5 or 4 days. From there, you start running. Then another one, if you don't have those statistics in your mindset, even if it has, you might end up destroying the antibodies and then expose the birds. Then another issue I want us to know is that this decay has to start from the day of hatch, and then the yolk sac refill from the day of hatch. And not when I give you a batch of birds at 3 days, 4 days post hatch. You start, we call them day old chicks. They're not day old chicks. If it's 3 days post hatch, it's 3 day old chicks. It's 3 days of age. So these are the little some farms, and most farms don't have information when these birds were hatched. So what he mentioned, but Dotun mentioned something here. What I recommend is to be using, though is a little bit tricky, but not too tricky. It's a bit better when you have tricky and trickier. You go to tricky and leave the trickier. So what I will advise is that the Dotun mentions of vaccines breaks, because of their high speed of replication, breaks through the maternal antibody. So whether you vaccinate, whether you vaccinate or whether they have maternal antibody, no matter the quantity of antibody they have, or you still give the vaccine and the vaccine will work. If you use the intermediate, it will not work. But from intermediate plus to the hot, it will work. But one thing which the textbook is saying, which I have not really found out, is that it compromises the immunity to some extent, but not as if you are not vaccinated and the birds are exposed. And then when he was dealing with immunosuppression, one of the things I have found in most birds of Gumboro disease is that they have coccidiosis. Check if you have
Yes, no, actually, actually, that's very correct. I thought he will mention that instead of bacteria, because especially based on deep litter.
Yeah, but that is dependent. It is absolutely dependent on that is absolutely dependent on if you are rearing on the floor.
If you are rearing, most of us rear on the floor. We are dealing with a conventional Nigerian farmer. The unconventional type, how many of them do you have? You know, in dealing with topic like this, you deal with statistics, the binomial distribution. I know the capture point. So that's it. Most times, once you have disease, go to the sick. In fact, Zika coccidiosis. Go to the Zika. You see hemorrhages left, right, and center.
Chief, I think I have to stop you because to give others, there are many on the queue.
Yes, please.
And maybe please permit me to.
I will permit you.
Please, the moderator, Prof, please, yes. Can I?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so on the issue of day-old chicks, and I would like Dr. Dotun to elucidate on this.
Yes.
Because there are farms. Dr. Dotun, are you there?
I'm listening, sir.
Yeah,
thank you, Dr. Dotun. So there are questions that were sent to me before the presentation. So, Dr. Dotun, there are farms that are endemic for IBD.
Okay.
And so the consideration from their experience is that when they bring quote and unquote clean birds to the lab for seroprofiling, the tendency is that it gives them a result that is purely based on what on the bird that arrives.
Okay.
So,
yes,
as a result of that, the results they get from seroprofiling are misleading, if you like, because it says based on those birds. Now, what they have suggested to do is to ensure that the birds arrive on the farm where the birds are, because if the farm has a history of Gumboro, it will mean that the matter antibody decay is more likely to be faster because they are going to face some challenge on arrival.
Yes.
And so they take their birds for seroprofiling only 2 to 3 days after they have arrived on the farm, not at day old. I would like you to comment on that. Then secondly, there are hatcheries that have recommended that in endemic areas, you should give simultaneously the first Gumboro vaccine, oral vaccine, along with an inactivated vaccine, inactivated vaccine simultaneously. Both of them, oral Gumboro vaccine, along with an inactivated Gumboro vaccine on commercial layer farm.
Okay.
Just want your comment. And then thirdly, a question that was sent to me yesterday.
Oladele was after Dr. Oladele, Prof. Oladele was.
Yeah, Prof's hand is up.
No,
today it's the floor is for the Oladeles. So,
I think let me my co.
So the third question, Prof. Sir, let me present it so that I don't. Prof, with your permission, Prof, can I go ahead?
Yes, but briefly, because Prof is her hand is raised up, and I don't want to take time to allow her to talk.
Okay, maybe Prof will be. Do you want? Is the Oladeles that have the floor anyway? So
yes, today is the day of Oladeles and the Usmans.
Okay. So, Prof, with your permission, the last question is: a vet accosted me yesterday and said to me, "Please, I want Dr. Dotun to answer what is the rationale behind using hypo, a commercial product called hypo, in dealing with Gomboro, and he insists that he has gotten excellent results from it. What are the merits and all demerits in using hypo in managing Gomboro? Thank you very much, Dr. Dotun.
Thank you, Dotun. I think maybe can you quickly respond so that we can allow
we'll allow
Oladele
then.
Okay.
Let me respond so that I don't know if it's what she's going to ask or to contribute.
Let Professor Oladele speak, then I will speak.
Okay, then we can. Yeah. Yes, Ma, you have a floor, Ma.
Hello? Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, good morning, everybody. And I'm so happy to be here. Dr. Ibe called me early this morning to let me know. And Dr. Oladele, you have done an excellent job. I'm really happy. Now, the issue of Gomboro is a highly debatable issue. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, it's highly debatable, highly controversial, and it has always been like that. Like Dr. Oladele said, we need to understand the virus to be able to control effectively. I think I'll start from the question on seroprofiling on the third day because of what the chicks will meet on the farm. Seroprofiling is better done on day one. As a matter of fact, if it is possible to send the batch of chicks to the laboratory from the source and seroprofile before they get to the farm, or at least you separate those ones you are taking to the lab. It's not on the third day. By the third day, that is not, you will have had some level of waning, and that will not reflect exactly what was transferred a day old. So I think it's better done on day one. And then there was a question on using inactivated vaccine and is it the live vaccine on the same day? See, we do a lot of things that is not based on science. A lot of things we cannot explain. A lot of things we get results by chance. And we think that is the game changer. There's no science behind that. How can you give a live vaccine and give inactivated vaccine same day? So we are pumping different things into our body, and we are the ones eating them at the end of the day. That's my comment on that. So going to about the lectures, here in Ibadan, I have experienced Gomboro, I can't remember whether week 12 or week 14, but that was a particular year that it was very hot. It was around March. And we teach, and then the textbook tells you between 3 and 6 weeks of age. But since then, I've been teaching, okay, you can even see it up to 40 weeks of age. Now, but what I observed that year was that it was very hot. So I think there's a role for climate, regional climate or temperature. And then I remember a colleague, whether it was Professor Abdu, that told me that they vaccinate 3 times in the north for Gomboro many years back. And I was just questioning that in my mind. I think they will do the early one and they will do one maybe around week 8 or week 10. But the day I saw this 40-week-old one, then I understand why. And that tells us also that vaccination procedure cannot be sacrosanct, that it has to be like this. We have to consider regional issues, regional factors, weather and all of that in formulating vaccination procedures. And then in Dr. Oladele's lecture, I have concern about the use of antibiotics during Gomboro outbreak. Now, we talk about we use can I go on?
Go on.
We talk about we use antibiotics when there is a secondary bacterial infection, not to prevent against secondary bacteria. If you are using it to prevent again, that is we are AMR, antimicrobial resistance, we are adding to the problem. But when you talk about, it's interesting to note that when you go into the Bursa Fabricius and you take a swab, you try to grow, you find a load of bacteria. But that does not justify the treatment with antibiotics at that level. Because exactly what are you treating? Is it fowl cholera? Is it fowl typhoid? You must know what you are treating. And I always say something. If I blow my mouth, the breath of my mouth in agar, in bacterial growth agar, all those culture media, something will grow. Something will grow, even from my mouth. And then the doctor will now say, go and start treating yourself. So that's how we are adding to, I think it might have some science to add to explain that. But I think we have to be careful. Now, many a times we say, oh, but after they use that drug, it worked and all of that. You count the day the case was presented. From the history of the farmer, go back, retrace, and see when mortality starts. Remember the spiking mortality curve of Gomboro. Many a times, before you get to know there's a problem, you're already on day 4 or day 5 from a course that would be like 1 week, maximum 10 days. So, of course, you are already about the peak of the curve. And no matter what you do, it begins to go down. And then we believe it's the disinfectant I use, it's the antibiotic I use. So I just want us to be careful. The use of antibiotic in the face of viral infection, except you are really seeing that bacterial disease. Because infection is when you have the organism in the body. But disease is what we are treating with antibiotics. Is that secondary disease really there? And then we will go ahead and treat. That is my own take. And then the use of, there was a case he mentioned about vaccinate. I think there was a vaccine that had the combination of ND and IBD. And they found out that there was outbreak after that also. And then the blame was put at the doorstep of the manufacturer. It's possible. But it's also possible that we have problem with cold chain. Because we might have tested the vaccine, it looks like a placebo in the lab. There was nothing inside it. But what about the transportation coming from whichever country it came from? I remember, because in our lab here, we do have farmers. I'm sorry if I'm speaking too much. This is the last one.
No, please.
Some
Please
farmers.
go ahead. Professors are trained to speak.
Thank you. Some farmers, when they want to buy vaccine, the batch, they will just go and buy one and bring it to the lab that we test, especially ND. Now, this one was brought, maybe 2 batches, like 2 bottles. We tested, it was 0, like nothing. And they will have used that and thinking they have given Lasota. Now, this farmer will not take it. So it was from a known vaccine distributor. So, excuse me. So he went back and fight with them. Those ones escalated it to Israel. The Israelis came here and they were looking for me because I was the one that wrote the report. And by the time they came, I explained it to them. And they tell me that they do quality control, they do this, they do that. And I explained to them, that is what we found. But what has happened between your lab and to the farmer, we do not know. So a lot could have gone down. And we know Nigeria with NEPA and all of that. So it's not always that is the manufacturer. Sometimes it is the transportation system, because some people travel and put vaccine in their jacket suit. They put some ampoules there, not knowing the implication. So that's a little bit of my contributions for now. But Dr. Oladele has done a very great job. And I thank you very much.
Thank you,
Prof, there's one thing I want, Prof. Oladele, on this delicate vaccine, on this vaccine he's talking about is a very delicate vaccine. Vectorized vaccines are delicate vaccines, and they require special preservation in liquid nitrogen tanks. They are not ordinary vaccine. They are recombinant vaccine or gene deleted biotechnology driven vaccines. They are not so easy, and I don't think we have the facilities in this country as at now to handle such vaccines.
To store them.
So we really have to be careful. Anyway, Oladele man, talk.
Yes, thank you. We look forward for more contribution, man. Dr. Dotun, actually, these are very valid contribution from Professor Oladele. And my own take is about this vaccination. If we look at it, we have what we call viral pressure on the farm.
Yes.
Viral load on the farm. And I thought you will touch more on that, because that's where the issue of biosecurity came. And also there's intermix between virulent strain and less virulent strain mixing together and causing a sort of confusion on the farm. Is another aspect also I think you need to enlighten us. Then also this issue, maybe the chief will talk about that maybe at the end of this lecture. A lot of farmers will go and buy a vaccine, just as Professor Oladele have said. It may be from the shop negligence, or from the manufacturer's negligence, or from veterinarian himself. But when there's a loss, who pays? Because you have a large population of birds, say 100,000, just for inadequacy or incompetency in any of these chain I mentioned, manufacturer, the poultry chemist or the attendant there, or even the bird himself. Now cause this havoc on your 100,000 population base. Now who pays? What legal action will one take? Because now they all, I mean, a chicken business is no chicken business. It's a very serious business. So maybe you need to enlighten us about that. I think there's one that raising his hand for long, Dr. Waje Ishaya. Please, can you make your contribution? Dr. Waje, if we are still there.
Yeah, good afternoon, or good morning, rather good morning.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, I want to thank the presenters for detailing us of some of the things that we normally come across in the field. Though we don't have a lab, we are field food soldiers, and we are always in contact with farmers. Now, one of the things I observe, most especially when we talk about factors responsible for some of the outbreaks of these diseases, the IBD, and in Dotun's presentation, he made mention of quality of vaccines, which I agreed, and all of us agreed. But from my observations, you know, farmers only do look at only the expiry date, or even some vets, we only look at the expiry dates of vaccines. Oh, the vaccines is not expired. That's why we stop there. And my observations is in most of the veterinary vaccines, I may be wrong, Professor Ibe is there, they don't have vaccine monitors on the bottles. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong, but from my own observations on the ones I've been handling, there are no vaccine monitors, whereby even if the vaccine is not expired, but those monitors should be able to tell you whether these vaccines are really properly stored or not. Like in the human sector, I had an opportunity of working in this one. Most of the vaccines, they have viral vaccine monitors on them. So if there's a particular color, in which if they change to a particular color, that vaccine cannot be used. But in our own sector, once the vaccine is cool and the vaccine is not expired, we assume that the vaccine is good. So we go ahead and begin to vaccinate vets. So I think that also is a problem. Not only when the vaccine, is it properly stored? Is it expired or not expired and all that? I think our vaccine should have vaccine monitors on them, most especially those that are locally produced in Bonn. So if they're not there, we should at least place an emphasis on it that they should include it. That will help us a lot. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I hope we have somebody from NAFDAC among us, because this is the issue of NAFDAC. Dotun, any response?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Starting from what Dr. Umar Usman was saying on the issue of when it is best to take day-old chicks to the laboratory for normal sample collection, maybe from the heart, to get the blood and to do the normal seroprofiling. Whether at day old or at the third day, whichever day the farmer decides to bring, what we always try to do is to note the date. If it is the second day, if it is the third day, we will put it in record that these chicks were not brought on the first day. So it will give us an idea that, okay, if we are going to calculate, okay, what will the level of maternal antibody decay look like? For this, in the case of maybe IBD or ND, we'll be able to advise. However, it is better to bring the chicks on day one. The farmers who claimed that it is better to bring it maybe on day 3, because normally we don't accept anything after day 4. We don't. From farmers who claim that they would rather take the chicken to their farm, after that they will now bring it before any sample should be taken. They may have their own reasons, but it is also important to say this, that there are times that issues could come up. For example, I have encountered a case where chicks were brought to me. They were barely 2 days old, and I started noticing nodules in the lungs. Then I now had to ask the farmer some questions because it was classically a case of aspergillosis. If those birds were kept on the farm for 2-3 days, I don't know what could have happened. They could acquire some other problems that could worsen the case later on. So on the issue of the maternally derived antibody level, what happens is that when we carry out the test, we try to know what date those birds were hatched and when they landed in that particular location. Then we can advise on how the vaccination should be done. However, I think I am of the opinion that day one is still the best because taking the birds to the farm and bringing after 2 or 3 days, anything could happen there. Just like Prof had mentioned, there is something we call field virus pressure. The field virus pressure could also play a key role in bringing about faster level of antibody decay. And by the time you are running it on the 3rd or 4th day in your lab, you will now say, okay, this level of antibody decay is like this, and so day, you can give your first vaccine. Whatever the case may be, all these issues of concerns or whether it should be 1st day or 3rd day strongly have to do with the field virus pressure and the biosecurity on the farm. That's why I was emphasizing the issue of biosecurity. If the farm is not well biosecured, even all the ELISA tests and everything you're going to do will be a waste. That's the raw truth. So I always like relating field with laboratory findings. That's the way I work. I don't just focus on one side. I look at what is happening on the field. I look at what is happening in the lab. With that, I will be able to give what I feel is a good solution, so to say, to be able to help the farmers. So, but in my own case, I prefer 1st day to take samples. Then, on the issue of live and inactivated IBD vaccines, I know of a case where inactivated IBD vaccines had to be used before the situation was brought under control, but they were not given simultaneously. That is one thing I think we need to emphasize here. However, some people would have maybe read something somewhere and seen one experiment being done. There's no problem with whatever experiment one is doing, but understand that the birds themselves are going to be stressed. And when that stress comes in, you are not even laying a good foundation for such a flock. So as much as possible, it is only in situations where there has been very, very persistent outbreaks, and then the pressure of the field virus is very strong, you may consider the use of inactivated vaccine, IBD vaccine. I have a friend that shared his experience with me. I mean, they do raise broilers up to 100, 200,000. At a point, this was what they had to do before the mortality could come under control, based on information. Hello?
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, continue.
What I'm saying is that they had to use inactivated IBD vaccine to be able to bring situation under control. But let me also sound a note of warning. From my little experience, I've also found out that when you say a vaccine is inactivated, it does not mean that it is an almighty vaccine. I have seen inactivated Newcastle disease vaccine given to birds, and within 7 weeks, they started coming down with Newcastle disease. I mean, a vaccine that is supposed to protect up to about 12 weeks post-vaccination as inactivated, you now start seeing classical ND signs. So these are some of the challenges we see because the quality of the inactivated vaccine is also important. Also know that at that early stage for the chicks, the level of development of their immune system is not like in adult birds. So it maybe it's just going to be maybe like just 0.2 or 0.15 mil that will be given maybe subcutaneously to them. You understand? So a number of factors would have to be considered. However, wherever is using the inactivated vaccine, in a way, if that solves this problem, I have no problem with that because I have seen a case like that before. But combining the two at the same time, I understand the rationale behind that. But I think it is better to just stick to one in the sense that instead of combining the two at the same time, it's better to give the live separate, and then after some days, you can then give the inactivated. And it's important to say this, that the live vaccine and the inactivated In terms of the inactivated, it takes a longer time before it starts conferring its immunity. But the live one will do it faster. So that's what I have to say on that. And then on the use of hypo, yes, I know sodium hypochlorite, which is the normal bleach, works very well in terms of controlling IBD. I've seen that too before. And remember, I shared a case with you in a flock of about 100,000 birds. I had to use something that is close to hypochlorite, which was that isoclor, at a high concentration, which was safe for them in drinking water, and a higher concentration for spraying to reduce the horizontal spread of the virus. So different people with different experiences. But what is most important is some of these things need to be worked on further, particularly to know the safety of some of these things. Because when people hear this kind of information, they will start abusing it. And before you know it, who knows? The virus can decide to develop resistance even against some of these common disinfectants. Then on the comment on the use of antibiotics made by a prof. Now, the rationale behind that action, we are actually very conscious of the fact that there's what is called antimicrobial resistance. We're also conscious of the fact that there's what is called secondary bacterial infection, which can, in certain cases, worsen some disease conditions, especially if they are viral disease condition. So the idea behind the use of the antibiotic is just for that particular purpose, to be able to help to further bring the mortality under control. Because even when the outbreak of gumboro occurs, the bacterial disease, which comes as a secondary infection, also takes its own part too. You know, I've seen...
Sorry, doctor, I actually was due in this line because, as we said earlier, if the bears were especially on diff litter,
yes,
you find that not only bacteria, was also protozoa infections, coccidiosis, for example, is there.
You would also manage the coccidiosis
yeah.
too.
So, and the farmer don't go by a book. What is after is for the bears to survive. It's not
Yes.
after the
You know, there are certain things that what we try to do as much as possible is we try to weigh the options. If I focus just on the viral problem and I leave the bacterial problem, it will still persist. Mortality will still persist. Now, even when it subsides in terms of the viral problem, the bacterial problem will take it off from there. So that's just the rationale behind it. It's not that we are trying to abuse.
Sorry, Dr. Dotun. I think we have to be being brief because I think in next 15 minutes or less we have to close this. It's long over.
Okay, I think I'm through with most of the questions. On the vaccine monitor.
The Charles, maybe can you take the question on the chat there, or do I go ahead?
Okay.
I mean, just read some questions.
Call the
there.
questions out and let me quickly answer, sir.
Okay. This one, Jennifer is asking, what is your opinion about administering both IBD and ND vaccines concurrently?
It should not be. It should not be done, especially when both are live vaccines. It should not be done.
You can only do that when you are programming to transfer maternal immunity. At that stage, by textbook concurrence, the bears are the bears are almost out of the IBD dangerous zone. But from what we are seeing now is that we have seen some emergent factors in the curve. So you don't add you did it with inactivated vaccine to transfer both maternal immunity of IBD and Newcastle, not to handle
not live.
Yes, not the no. I'm talking about inactivated. That's the only way you can monkey with that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And then one thing I want to tell Professor Oladele about profiling, I mentioned something like this here: standardization of the antibodies. The MDA, maternal derived antibodies, from the research I ran at in fact it was Oladele Dotun that ran that. In one box, so you see some chicks, the log is so high, the log is so low. What does he tell you? They're bringing batches of eggs and mixing them together and hatching them. So there's no uniformity. I still go with, because there's no uniformity. If for those who are using lab to run their samples, and fantastic. But people who are blind in the field go for intermediate plus that can break through the MDA. That's to me. I don't know any other person. Props are here. I can't overrule props.
I have a comment on that.
Yes.
Yes, Dotun, yes.
I'm usually very careful with using intermediate plus. For the first time in my life, I saw a second outbreak of Gumboro in a flock that had an initial outbreak of Gumboro. And when I started investigating, I found out that they were using an intermediate hot, or what we call intermediate plus, or the hot strain of the IBD vaccine. And I asked them why. They say that the people who sold it to them said they should give it again. I said, after that first outbreak, you still want to pick this one after it caused the first outbreak. So it was a very crazy situation because I've never seen that before. Second outbreak of Gumboro, because normally once outbreak occurs, we know that there is a kind of solid immunity. You don't see the outbreak again, but they now brought that same vaccine and I saw legions of Gumboro outbreak. Second time in a flock. So I'm usually very careful with it. I am more comfortable with the intermediate, and some call their own invasive intermediate. If I'm to go by that term, I think I'll be okay with the invasive intermediate.
But Dr. Dotun, let me make a contribution here. If you see most of our young veterinarians,
yes, sir,
when they are consulting for a farm, they don't take cognizance of the situation about previous outbreaks on that farm or in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
They are getting me. Then secondly, is those ones selling vaccines in the veterinary stores. They don't know the difference between intermediate strain, hot strains, or whatever.
Yeah.
So most of the young ones,
what's going on?
Was now taking cognizance of the present situation and asking me, and some had a hot, very virulent IBD virus outbreak, maybe last year. And now he's buying the resident virus now on the farm is very virulent IBD virus. And now he's buying the less mild vaccine taken to the farm. And most of the situation you find that after vaccinating, 3 days after, you find that the person may have having a serious outbreak. Then they start wondering, is it the vaccine that is not good? Or is it, in fact, the issue of resident virus may not even come to the mind of that young veterinarian.
Yeah.
What is that thinking that the vaccine, actually he didn't buy the right vaccine for that farm.
Exactly.
So I think that's another problem. I think if we continue, it's a very challenging area. I think they say the less the merrier, not the more the merrier. If we follow eBay, I'm sure I will spend a day here, but a very interesting topic. And such important topics here, I think you need to be breaking them into two. So that Dotun will come and talk about only vaccination. Sometime will come about the clinical cases.
You see, we are beginning for a lot of exposure in this profession. Yes. A lot of hot topics are coming. We are bringing Dr. back, even in poultry. Omobowale, as we speak here now, sorry.
Oladele. Prof. Oladele.
No, not Omobowale. Is preparing another topic on canine ehrlichiosis, which we are going to handle next month. We have a lot, and then he's coming back for pasteurellosis and that's a fowl cholera, fowl typhoid, and all manner of stuff. He's coming. We are bringing him back, and you, Professor Usman, we are bringing you back. We want everybody to, and even Professor Oladele, we are bringing Professor Oladele here to speak, so that you know what we want is entrenchment of knowledge. Is very, very vital and very important. Unfortunately for us, we don't have updates. All these VCL will organize a jamboree once in a year, one topic or the other. That's not training. We're supposed to have a retraining training and retraining to retrain. At each, though there's some of these veterinary drug outfits are doing something like that. So
yeah,
come back.
okay, but doctor, before then, let me welcome Dr. Ibrahim, I think from Animal Care. I think Dotun is one of their own. Dr. Ibrahim, I think from Animal Care.
You not comment on my this now. You not comment on the vaccine monitor.
Okay,
Let me
don't worry.
say something on the vaccine monitor.
Yes, yes.
Dr. Ishaya Waja was my class rep.
I won't forget.
Is the director in with the Ministry of Agric in Bayelsa State. Am I right, Waja?
Yes, Prof.
How now? Yeah.
Fine,
on the issue of vaccine monitors, I think it's the major issue that needs to be looked into, because we find out that a lot of malpractices are happening, particularly in the livestock industry, the way vaccines are handled. Oftentimes, if you visit some places and you ask them that you want to buy vaccines, and if you look at where they are taking out the vaccine from, you'll be amazed that are these people really preserving this vaccine?
Exactly.
Like you rightly said, most of the time, we look at the expiry date and the thing is cool in our hand. We just say, okay, no wahala, we move on. But problems could come on later as a result of that. So I think, in my own opinion, the government can help us more, especially regulatory bodies who have been giving this assignment. I remember those days in animal care, NAFDAC could just move in unannounced at times. Come and check all the refrigerators. We have a number of them, so many of them. There's a special section where we keep all the vaccines. They will check the temperature, check expiry date, check all those things. They do that a lot, especially when I was in animal care. I remember I used to see all those things happening. So if other companies could imbibe such action, I think it would go a long way to help us, honestly.
Doctor, thank you. I think we have 5 minutes, but there are 3 people that raised their hand.
Okay.
They would have put it in their questions on the chat box, and then we'll share it.
Well, they raised their hand. Let's give them one minute, maybe.
So
yes,
1 minute.
Yeah. Ugarumba Victor, are you there? Ugarumba.
Yeah, he's there. Unmute yourself and talk.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much, the presenter, and thank you very much to everybody that has shared this knowledge in the platform here. Please, my question is actually on issue of use of antibiotics. I don't know if I'm the only one noticing it. Even in the production of these antibiotics, there are places they say preventive doses. I've had issues. I actually agree with the issue of not using antibiotics at all. But I still get to see, even in drug companies, well-known drug companies, they have preventive doses of these antibiotics. And when these people buy these day-old chicks, from the beginning, the antibiotics is already being introduced, and they say it is for prevention. And please, I want people who know better to throw more light on this issue. That's just my question. Thank you.
Okay, let us take another one so that Dr. Dotun will combine them and respond. Dr. Ph.D. Obishakin, is he here? Obishakin.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, presenter. Beautiful presentation, and thank you for all the contributing parts. I have just 2 observations. Number 1, on the issue of vaccinating with attenuated and then live vaccine. Dr. Oladele had advised, instead of doing it together, let's do it a few days after. What about monitoring the antibody levels to be sure if the attenuated has worked? If it has worked and elicited the right amount of antibodies or immunity generally, and that is enough to cover the animals, why bother, insisting on the live vaccination? I think farmers do it because they don't expect, they think the attenuated one has not worked. So maybe we should rather advise and insist that farmers to take their time, consult vet clinics or teaching hospitals where the antibody levels can be monitored, instead of just vaccinating twice, after a few days or a few weeks. That's number 1. Number 2, very good presentation. I enjoyed it. I'm a PCR person, and I love the gels that you showed from VOM. We will always give you that from VOM. But then I was wondering, normally in PCR these days, you don't rely so much on the conventional PCR with gels, because for you to see one band, you needed to have had high load of viral copies. And we are lucky in that case. I think that viral load was high. But if you have some infections that are growing up, that are just beginning, the viral load will be low. It can only be picked up by real-time PCR. So I think the next time you visit us, try to ask if there is a real-time PCR primer and probe for IBDV, and ask Dr.
Thank
Clem
you.
and Dr. Shitu to give you that. That may be better. Thank you, sir.
I think, as I said, the time is against us. Can we take the medicine at CBSN? It's not the name written there, but he has.
What is your name? Medicine at CBSN. What's your name? Or mute yourself.
Okay, let us move on. Dr. Osman, my co-moderator, do you have anything to say before?
No, he's talking.
Let me answer the last question.
No, he's about to talk.
Okay.
Medicine at VCN, CVCN.
Medicine at VCN, Professor Zibe.
Okay.
You see, I want to make a short comment because IBD problem is not a Nigerian problem, it's worldwide. The problem is that the virus, God created it to attack lymphocytes, which are producers of immunity, just like HIV. So if you make the vaccine mild, because you don't want it to cause a disease, you want it to cause outbreak, it becomes too mild to produce enough immunity. You now say, okay, let me make it strong enough so that enough immunity will produce. It may become too much and destroy the lymphocyte. That is why vaccination is very, 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 very tricky. I don't think it's, I would rather suggest, why don't we look for antiviral medicine that we can brood chicks with? It's possible. If we can get antiviral, we brood chicks. Thank God it's an age-limiting disease. After a particular age, it will not come again. Unlike HIV, which is the brother. HIV attacks all age groups. So that for IBD, we can manage IBD for maybe a few weeks and they get away with it. But HIV, we cannot. So the problem is not from the
Professor Zibe, from recent research, is disproving this your age dependent on IBD.
No, Professor Okoye from UNIJOS also reported up to
more frightening. So the problem is that because it attacks lymphocytes, which lymphocytes are the producers of immunity. So because of that, we have problem with vaccination. It's not a Nigerian problem; it's a world problem. Thank you.
Yeah, and the Professor Zibe, we are bringing you next. We are bringing you a lot of issues have come up with your research. We are bringing
Thank you, sir.
We are bringing you next month to unravel some mysteries behind your research.
You're welcome.
And we'll work. So you are coming on board. So we'll give you enough time, like 1 hour, to talk all this you're talking.
Dotun, please, can you make small comments so that, as I said,
the last question that somebody asked, it was confused. Use of antibiotics in DO chicks. I also really do not like using antibiotics, but if they're vertically transmitted infection, you don't have choice, or else you will lose your investment. So it is important for that person to know this. What we do is we harvest organs, look out for what is vertically transmitted, and using the direct sensitivity method, by the following day, we know what drug to use. And we advise the farmer, use it for so and so number of days, and you stop there. In some cases, even in the DO chicks, some will even be coming with issues of fungal infection. We investigate this. So to use antibiotic is not a crime, but it should not be abused. That's my own comment.
Yes, awesome. Thank you very much.
I think you are going to, who is going to round up so that we...
No, we are going to hand over to you to round off. Usman, can you say something?
Prof, our job is done. Let the chief host, the Africa of Okija, close.
Anyway, we are not missing anything. We are not missing anything. Yes. Unfortunately, we did not stream live on YouTube, but we are streaming live on Facebook, where we are going to revert it to YouTube later. But it works under 24 hours. So by this time tomorrow, we will share the YouTube link, the YouTube channel, for all of you to watch what we're saying, one after the other. And I want our audience to improve, because where our mindsets now and where we are thinking explosive. That will bring us into the real stuff, the real knowledge. Stagnancy of knowledge is, as far as I'm concerned, is evil. It's a big mistake. So what we are trying to do now on this platform, as time goes on, is to bring up a lot of hot topics like this. And Oladele, thank you very much. Professor Usman,
Yes, sir.
Will you call him my spotter? In those good days. In those good days, you had nothing involved. You just throw me into one empty room with one bed, one mattress.
Yes,
It's okay. We thank you very much, my beloved brother.
Governing Council, member Governing Council.
So, and then Dr. Usman.
Yes, sir.
You know, I didn't recognize you when you are my junior. I don't much recognize juniors most times, but now they're overwhelming me that I should start recognizing them. Because their action, look at what Wajaya, is it Wajaya is talking? The guy that spoke, is it from Bielsa? I mean, he surprised me, the volume of information he has. I think we should be looking for young people like him to give us information. There is no end to information flow. Everybody, thank you. I think, well, let's call it until we regroup again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
God bless you all.